This morning, the American Marketing Association announced the appointment of their new CEO, Russ Klein, who starts on August 11th, should infuse a fresh perspective to grow this premier worldwide organization into new territories. As per our earlier coverage, Russ brings tremendous experience at some of the top brands like Burger King, 7-Eleven, and Arby's. He also has agency experience that should prove valuable in his new role. We had an opportunity to talk with him to find out what he thinks, and here is what he had to say. Congratulations to you on your fantastic appointment as the CEO of American Marketing Association.
Thanks very much. I couldn't be more excited.
It is amazing. I was thinking about it. What should I say? You are now your marketing and the chief or head of marketers of marketing?
Well, Nick, for me, it's been a nexus of my lifelong love of marketing science, both as someone who tries to teach best practices, someone who is always curious to learn new best practices, my credentials as a practitioner myself across many consumer brands, and my desire now to lead an organization, particularly a knowledge-based organization, in certainly what is a knowledge economy, in about to go through the biggest throes of change, probably in history. And so for me, it's a magical intersection of all the things I love, including returning to Chicago and being able to I think in a very natural and authentic way, bring my passion for marketing science to an organization and lead that organization through these changing times.
No, and this is wonderful, really. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to be sitting in a position where you bring the intersection of academics and practitioners. And as you rightly said, we are at an inflection point in our economy, in our society. Marketing is changing. And so, previously things were a little bit more stable and the practices were studied by the academics. But right now what's happening is with all these changes, unlike academics, which looks at backward, there's also a need to look forward. And Absolutely. So someone with your background, with training and experience at the helm of some of the greatest brands with Burger King and 7-Eleven and others, I think you will bring and do a great job here. I'm absolutely positive. So how do you see things happening now? I mean, this change that has taken place, both in terms of the organization at AMA, but also the change that is taking place within marketing itself. How do you see things moving forward and being different from the past?
Well, creative disruption, disruptive innovation, Metcalfe's law of network connectivity, externalities, Moore's law of faster, cheaper, smaller, horizontal commerce, disintermediation, lateral economies of scale, open source sharing, even Rifkin's theory of near zero marginal costs. All of these forces are coming together, I think, to create an irreversible set of forces that will create a rate of change, a degree of change that business, commerce, marketing has never experienced before. And the best description I like to give is the old joke about Stephen Wright, where he says, when you're rocking back in a chair and you almost fall backward, but you catch yourself, that sort of that sensation of fear of falling, that I think is what the sensation of many CEOs and CMOs will be feeling as they try to encounter a lot of these dynamic changes in the future.
You've said some amazing words, and I think each word requires a paragraph-long description for average person. But what this does tell is that you rightfully said you are at the throes of a massive upheaval, and any upheaval creates lots of opportunities. So for an average marketer, is the AMA going to bring greater value moving forward, the way you see things?
Well, this will be my job, is to lead the organization both in terms of thought leadership as well as service leadership to our constituents. If we're not adding value to marketing practitioners and marketing academics and marketing students for that matter, then our reason for being ceases to exist. So it will be critical for the AMA, which has the great fortune of being anchored by academic gravitas and academic credentials, where really any academician who is looking to be published in the most scholarly channels looks to the AMA to do this. And so this is, in effect, the Mickey Mouse of Disney is the academic credentials of the AMA. And we have to preserve those relationships, foster those relationships between academics and practitioners, working together to create light that we can throw on the path ahead for our constituents. That will be the job of the AMA. And I think the way I'm looking at it, Nick, is if we just try to adapt or respond to these changes, we might be successful. But if we embrace these changes and in fact try to become part of the changes, creating some of this change, rather than just being a bystander, then the AMA has a chance to become a preeminent leader. And there won't be many, I think, because it's a very complex world to try to sort out. And we're fortunate at the AMA to have the best minds in the world coming together to advance best practices, to solve problems that are posed to marketing enterprises in the future.
No, that is indeed wonderful. Do you see any changes in the way AMA has been run? There will be certain changes, obviously, when leadership changes. But do you see directionally, is it inclined to do things differently from the past, or do you intend to continue the progress that has been made in the past by Dennis Dunlap?
Well, Dennis has done an outstanding job at the AMA for 15 years, and he has had a long and successful career approaching, I think, 45 years. So he has been around this community and certainly been advancing the AMA banner very nobly for the last 15 years. And it's really too early for me to say exactly what the nature of our change will be, what type of direction we'll be pursuing. All I can predict is that the future will be very tumultuous. The forces I've described earlier are real. They are advancing rapidly, and that will necessarily cause the AMA to have to respond if it wants to be a leader in that environment. So the actual details of that change are going to be a function of me being a great listener in my early weeks and months on the job, to put on a big set of ears and to bring a lot of sharp pencils, to take a lot of notes, because there's tremendous institutional wisdom at the AMA, not only at the board level and among our volunteers, but also at the local chapter levels, where there's 76 city-level chapters and 250 collegiate chapters, in addition to outposts, if you will, in Shanghai and Mexico City, and with an eye even towards perhaps the Middle East and some other frontiers that are really just green fields for the AMA. And not unlike entertainment or rock and roll, American marketing. It's American marketing that is viewed as the best in the world. And it's developing countries with developing middle classes around the world that present an opportunity for the AMA to increase its footprint as well.
Absolutely, with 118 countries currently being involved, and everybody's realizing and recognizing the role of marketing because of the globalization. And you bring up Rifkin's book, and I think that's very indicative. Now, in terms of marketing has become even more important because it's more tightly integrated with business strategy nowadays. I don't think you can be a CEO with a lack or misleading concepts of marketing. It's just simply not possible. Do you see AMA going after non so-called marketing professionals in your membership?
That's a great question, and I think a great suggestion. We have been talking already, Dennis and I have been, about the fact that marketing isn't just for marketers anymore. It is an enterprise-wide capability that will define an organization's ability to be successful in the future. And so whether it comes directly from the CEO or whether it's simply a part of the culture of that enterprise, everyone needs to be a brand manager. And now we've said this in the past, but it's more true than ever because of how flat and how horizontal companies have become in proximity to their consumer. And so the experience for a brand, whether it starts with the brand manager upstream or it ends with the salesperson on the front line, everyone has to be marketing savvy, if you will, in order to advance the interest of a brand.
Absolutely. And I see that all the time, and especially the entrepreneurial world is almost all entrepreneurs need to be thinking that way. And so I wish you good luck, and I hope you have a great and illustrious career ahead of you. And I would love to remain in touch with you, and we'll talk again.
Please do, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Russ.